Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Dimes, a college basketball podcast. I'm Matthew Brune, and joining me once again is Jamie Shaw. And Jamie, we have another busy week in college basketball, but I love it. It's been great. How are you doing?
Man, it's beautiful, man. I love that these games are getting played early. It's awesome. It's awesome to add to it. There's some bye games in there and all that stuff, but I mean, we're getting top 25 matchups, high major matchups on the reg. So,
Yes.
yeah, that makes things fun.
Yes. Busy slate. We're going to focus on three games here. A couple other ones. I know Gonzaga beat the heck out of Creighton. Good win for Gonzaga. Not going to focus on that. Honestly, I think on our predictions we made last pod, I think we got all of them right. So we'll go through and talk about what we liked, what we saw, and everything like that. And then we'll preview a few games for this weekend as well. Let's start with Alabama versus Purdue because this was really, really fun. I think there was almost 20 lead changes throughout the game, a lot of ties. I mean, going back and forth here. Purdue led for a majority of the game still, and it felt like just watching it that they were in control. And I think this speaks to the difference in like Purdue, between Purdue and a team like St. John's. Not to bash St. John's on this, but like Purdue won in the paint. They dominated the glass, just like I thought like St. John's would do, like I thought teams could do to Alabama at times. But the difference was you have the guard play to complement that and put the game away when it matters most. And obviously Braden Smith was huge in that. So I'll throw it to you. Just your thoughts on this win for Purdue and what it means for them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the big takeaway for me here was how big of a factor Trey Kaufman-Renn is.
Yes.
He was coming back, and when he was on the floor, this Purdue team seemed to be clicking on all cylinders. Uh, what he was able to bring to the team really complemented what Braden Smith brought. Obviously, Braden Smith's pick and roll manipulation is as good as anybody in college basketball. It's so difficult to guard the way he's able to attack space and get into the open areas, drawing the defense and playing off of what the defensive gives him out of the pick and roll. It's just masterful the way he's able to manipulate screens in every situation, every time down the floor, and making right decisions out of it. So the huge factor out of this game for me, Trey Kaufman-Renn, the minutes that he was on the floor, Purdue was at their very best in this game. Hostile road environment, did a lot. They ran great sets, obviously. And then also, too, with Alabama, they had their chances. They were within three late in the game and everything. They just could not make that last shot. It's a great environment. It's a great road test. Obviously, Alabama's going to shoot threes. That's going to be what they center their offense around and their entire identity. Not entire identity, but a lot of what they do is centered around the three-point shot and at the rim twos. They just, at the very end of the game, they could not make the threes that really counted, and nor could they really get the stops in the pick and roll, especially when Trey Kaufman-Renn was in the lineup for Purdue.
Yeah, this was Purdue's first top 10 road win since 1982. This is a huge win for Matt Painter, this program, like everything that they aspire to do this year. I think this was a win that you just look at like the big picture and be like, all right, this shows like this is different this year. This feels like it's a different year. It feels like we have a team that is obviously balanced. You have the guard play. You can win on the road, at home, doesn't matter. Overcome adversity, match up with different teams. I just think that is a huge win for Purdue. And like I said, on the glass, 19 offensive rebounds, 52 total rebounds to Alabama's 28. Just a huge game from Kaufman-Renn, 15 boards, Clough, 11 boards. Obviously, Jacobson comes in 5 boards. And that's what this Purdue team is going to continue to do to a lot of teams they play, not just Alabama. But then you get Smith going 5 of 10 from 3. You're not going to beat Purdue when he's hitting threes, getting to the line 12 times, and setting everybody else up on the team. He's going to be too much to handle. And then you add in the second chance opportunities that Purdue had. Huge win. I mean, just from the big picture of in my head, like I had questions of this game going in and really for the season, be like, all right, Purdue defensively, what do you look like? And how do you take that step forward? Because I said last year they were like 54th in KenPom defensively in defensive rating. I thought they did a really good job against Alabama, about as good as you can do against this Alabama team. Obviously, they're going to shoot 44 threes out of 66 shots. But overall, they forced 16 turnovers. You made them uncomfortable enough to get this win. And I'm wrong. It was 6 turnovers, but you made them uncomfortable enough to where they weren't getting wide open looks constantly.
And then you look at it as well, too, with shooting a lot of threes, getting up 44 threes within a game. You're not putting a lot of pressure on the rim. You don't put a lot of pressure on the rim. You don't put a lot of pressure on the defense necessarily to collapse and scramble and move. And with that, they only got 10 free throws, whereas, Purdue got to the free throw line 23 times as well. So while you're making the defense move laterally with the offense and the way they move like that, they weren't necessarily putting pressure on the defense to scramble and adjust and do that and get to the free throw line. The amount that Purdue did, obviously Purdue made more free throws than Alabama even attempted. 16 made free throws to 10 attempts. That could have been a big factor in the game, getting the free ones, getting the easy ones, and then utilizing the inside play. Obviously, putting Braden Smith's ability to put, again, the defense into a little bit of scramble mode when it comes to the pick and roll, when it comes to having to adjust into the pick and roll, attacking the space and drawing the defense, making the defense guard you, making the defense switch, and then playing out of that. Drew a lot of fouls throughout the course of the game. Obviously, Braden Smith was 2 of 9 from 2, I think. With that. But you just look at the pressure that it gave Alabama getting to the free throw line 23 times, I think also, while, as you mentioned, the rebounding discrepancy, which was massive, played a huge role, especially when you take 44 threes and you only make 16 of them. And down the stretch, they just could not quite find that one make that they needed. I know Philon missed one. Houston Millette missed one before making one. And all that. So this is a game that I think Alabama's going to go back and look at and see that they had every opportunity to win it. Obviously, this is November, not February or March, but this had every inkling of a high caliber game of 2 very good teams that we could see make runs, in March Madness.
Yeah. Last thing I'll say for Alabama, they didn't get the easy twos that they have gotten in years past. I mean, I know we always talk about 3-point shooting. Last year, they were 4th in the country in 2-point percentage. Like they opened the game up, and then with NATO, it's like they're able to get easy rim runs, like lobs and stuff like that. They weren't able to get those easy twos that they usually get under NATO. Now, whether that becomes a trend for the year or not, I don't know. But that was just one thing I noticed. I was waiting for them to really start opening up Purdue, and credit to Purdue, like I said. Holding that Alabama team to 80 points is like holding a normal team to like 65. That's really good. So, all right. Next game I want to talk about, another high level game. I mean, just a ton of high level basketball here. Kentucky versus Louisville. It felt like an NBA game. Obviously you had the threes, you have the talent on the floor, you have the depth. But these guys, they were getting up and down, shooting a lot of threes, and Louisville led by 20 with about 12 minutes left, and they led by like 18 earlier in the game too, but Kentucky kept coming back, so I give them credit here. But Louisville holds on for 96-88 win, and really it went about how I expected, because I think when we previewed it, I said, all right, Kentucky defensively without Quaintance, I don't think has enough to stop this Louisville offense on the road consistently. And that's kind of what happened. And then obviously you get the whole Michael Brown exploding for 30, and he was terrific in this game. So what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it was one of those things when watching the game, it never really felt like Louisville or it never really felt like Kentucky was in jeopardy of taking the lead. It just felt like Louisville always had the control. And watching the game, everything that Louisville was able to wanted to do on the offensive end, they got all the shots that they wanted on the offensive end of the floor. And it seemed like Kentucky had to work for everything that they were able to get, and even forcing a lot of kind of bad shots, early shots that maybe they wouldn't have necessarily taken. Watching this game, Kentucky didn't really get much out of Brandon Garrison and Otega Oweh, preseason player of the year, people talking about and all that. And they just need to get more out of him than what he's able to get. Stats say here he was 4 of 13 from the field, 1 of 6 from 3.
5 turnovers.
The shooting aspect of it, the forcing of it, he didn't look very comfortable in a lot of his touches throughout the course of this game. And then what we saw from Kentucky also, Obviously, Denzel Albertine was awesome.
Yeah.
Coming over after winning a national championship from Florida last year, coming over, what he was able to provide was awesome. But you also had flashes out of Malachi Moreno as well.
Mm-hmm.
But shifting over from what we saw from Kentucky, Louisville just seemed to be getting all the shots that they wanted. You had some big shots made from Isaac McNeely that, especially in the first half, that built momentum. And then Ryan Conwell, I thought was really, really good as well. What a compliment that Michael and Conwell were able to give one another. Um, both able to dribble, shoot, and pass to an advantage. Both of them were able to shoot the ball very well. I think between the two of them, let me look at the stats. 7 of 20 from 3-point line. Michael Brown got to the free throw line 11 times. Ryan Conwell 12 times.
Yeah.
And you're looking at it, this Louisville offense, they only shot 32% from three. But again, they still were the decided, favorite throughout the course of a game. It never really felt like the game was out of control for them, for this Kentucky team to take over. And looking at this Kentucky team moving forward, they're going to need better leadership from their guards. They're going to need more out of the guys, the Jalen Lowe's, the Otega Oways of the world. They're going to need more consistently. They're going to be able to get into their offense better, more easily than what they were able to do this game. Louisville just took them out of everything. They took the first option away from everything that they had, and it didn't really seem like Kentucky had many counters off of their first options being taken away.
Yeah, I don't know how many games, like what the win percentage is, but it has to be very high when you double up a team's free throw and you have half as many turnovers as them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Louisville did. I mean, it was a clinical performance, I thought, from them at home. I know I agree with you in terms of Kentucky's guards. Honestly, the best guard to me, like Aberdeen's kind of a wing, whatever guard to me, whatever. But in terms of the ones you mentioned, Lowe had some really nice moments as a passer. I led the team with 5 assists, but again, still 2 of 8 from the field. Both those were threes. I don't know if like he's the one that you're going to be like, all right, Jalen Lowe, carry us here. Like you need Otega Owe to do more and to be more assertive, I think, on the offense side of the ball. But yeah, Louisville, big win. I think I focus on the Michael Brown aspect of this a bit because all the guards they have, like it can be anybody's night on any given, game. And I think it takes a lot of pressure off them to where McNeely goes 3 of 7. That's all they need from him. He hit his 3 threes. Cool. Woolley, 9 points. That's all they need from him. Because Brown, a concern of mine coming in was handling physicality of this next level, finishing and all that stuff. Obviously, gets the line 11 times. He finished pretty well. He had some really acrobatic finishes and ends with 5 assists to 1 turnover. I think that's growth just in where he was a month ago. I mean, we're seeing this guy evolve as the year has just started, as we're 2 weeks into the season. And if that's the version of Michael Brown that we can get, I'm very, very excited. Now, it was a home game. He was comfortable from the start. I thought Kentucky was unable to really get into him, but that's a huge performance from obviously one of the best freshmen in the country.
Yeah, for sure. And what Michael Brown has two things. He's got confidence and he's got a skill base. So, the confidence to be able to perform where no lights are too bright, but he's also got the skill base of the ability to dribble into an advantage and the footwork and the shooting touch to be able to consistently just make shots at multiple levels. So there's a lot to like there with Michael. Now, obviously, he's going to have his ebbs and flows as a freshman, with the high usage that he has. But fortunately, he's got Ryan Conwell right there beside him too. So it's almost as a pick your poison type of situation. Whereas Woolley coming off the bench behind him, Isaac McNeely pulling gravity in the corner, you just have a lot of options there to make it comfortable. Make it comfortable. Playing confidently, making it comfortable. So it's going to be very interesting to see as we expect along the way. Not everybody's going to have their A stuff every single night. But within the flow of what this Louisville team has, they showed against this Kentucky team that the combined effort of what they have can be pretty impressive when it's clicking on all cylinders.
How happy are Louisville fans after the years that they've had before Brad Kelsey got here that they just beat Kentucky? If you imagine telling a Louisville fan that 4 years ago, be like, "Oh man, don't worry, y'all beat Kentucky in 2025. You'll be back," and they're back now, man. Pretty crazy.
Making it happen.
Yep. All right. last game we want to recap here: Illinois, Texas Tech. We didn't get all the eyes on it, but I did want to talk about it and recap it real quick. 81-77 win for the Illini, and honestly, I don't know if it was as close as the final score. I know Texas Tech came back and I mean was within 1 point in late in the second half, but to me, it didn't feel like Texas Tech had enough to get the stops that they needed. And they're still without Josiah Mosley and Bamboye. I think those two would have helped significantly in the front court here going against Illinois' size. But ultimately, they didn't have enough to get those stops. I think JT Toppin did everything in his power to try to will this team to a win. He ends with 35 points, 11 boards, 17 of 25 from the field. He was absolutely terrific, but this is a game where Christian Anderson, you need a little bit more than 8 points. I know he had 11 assists, and he set the table for Toppin, set the table for others, but I think this is one where you need Anderson to come out. You can't go 0 for 6 from 3. Like, you have to, or 1 of 6 from 3. I'm sorry if that was it. But it was 0 of 6. I think his toe was on the line for one of them. But yeah, you need a little bit more from him. Like, that's where the pressure ramps up for Donovan Atwell, right? He had some really big games early on, 1 of 4 from the field. Like, your backcourt has to be a little bit better here. Like, the guys we're talking about them missing are bigs, Mosley and Bamgoye. This is where you need those two, like Brian, what goes 1 of 4. The backcourt has to be a little bit sharper, in my opinion, offensively there. But Lawan Watts, I know he missed the game earlier, but he was really good. I mean, just a physical guy, wing that can really attack. 8 of 10 from the field, 21 points. So the Texas Tech side of this was more interesting to me because I see what they can be, but at the same time, I still feel like they need a little bit of progress, and they need Bam Goye and Mosley back to really hold down the front court defensively going against this Illinois team that, like we talked about, just has a bunch of guys that can throw at you and in different ways. So credit to Texas Tech keeping this close. I'll give credit to Illinois where it's due. Stojakovic 23, Boswell 22. Boswell hit some big threes in the first half, especially to kind of loosen the team up. And then everybody else settles in. Merkovich was one of my freshmen of the year in this conference. He's continued to look really, really good. And yeah, they've gotten enough so far. I think this was a big win for Illinois and the Big Ten, to get these non-conference wins early on.
Kind of looking through this, it's Illinois. I like the upside of their offense. It seems that they like to space the floor, but they have multiple guys on the floor who can create a shot for themselves. You have Kylan Boswell, Andre Stojakovic, and then Keaton Wagler. All three of those guys are able to have the ball in their hands and create advantages for themselves while keeping the floor spaced as well. You have Visic who can sit down and knock down shots. That you have to guard at 7'1" out at the perimeter as well, which opens things up for Merkovic also. So I really like the upside of what this Illinois offense can be. My questions coming in were the stops. How can they get stops and do all that? Well, obviously they held the Texas Tech backcourt in check doing that. But also very interestingly, looking at this, looking at the stat line, you're sitting there looking at they're pretty even on the rebounding aspect. Texas Tech had more actual field goal attempts than what Illinois did. However, Illinois attempted 23 free throws. Texas Tech attempted 4 throughout the course of the game. That's just a huge discrepancy as to where they're putting pressure. This Illinois team is putting pressure on Texas Tech to have to make plays, and the spacing and the defense and stuff. Obviously, that's going to be something they're going to be able to clean up and moving forward, getting the rotations down and all that stuff. But Illinois' offensive upside, offensive potential, I think, is very interesting that they have with this team, and especially mixing in 2 freshmen. Obviously, Markovic's a little bit older, but Keaton Wagler coming in. And mixing those into there's only going to be growth there, and then getting the other Ivisic back, Tomislav back, and everything. The upside of this Illinois team, I think, showed us here because this is a very good Texas Tech team. When we talked to Coach earlier in the year before the season started, he was very excited about the offensive capabilities of what this is, and seeing 35 and 22, from JT Toppin and Lawan Watts. This is a very capable Texas Tech team. They're going to have to sort some things out on defense, but the upside of what this Illinois team brings, especially once they get things together, and very intriguing.
Big Ten has gotten some big wins early on. We talked Michigan State beating Arkansas last week. That was a home game. Illinois beating Texas Tech. That was a home game. Purdue going on the road beating Alabama. So good wins for the Big Ten. I know everyone likes to compare conferences early on when they play each other. So something to take note of. Big Ten fighting, trying to be the best conference in America. We'll see if they can do it. But yeah, good result for Illinois. Let's talk real quickly about these games of the weekend. A few real headliners here. Arizona versus UCLA is the first one that has my attention. A really, really fun game. And, last time we talked about Arizona, it was coming off of a huge win to open the year. Since then, nothing's really changed. They beat Utah Tech. They beat Northern Arizona. Now the next two games are UCLA and UConn. And I think for this game, KenPom has it as a 2-point game, 2-point spread. Obviously, you look at the difference in styles where UCLA is 352nd in the country in tempo. You know what they're going to do in terms of their pace of play and where they attack. And Donovan Dent missed the last game. He will be playing in this game per Mick Cronin. Arizona, 34th in the country in tempo, going to play fast. We know what Tommy Lloyd wants from them. I don't know exactly. If Donovan Dent plays and he is the player that we expect him to be, I think he can put a lot of pressure on this Arizona defense on the interior and with the way he sets everybody up. At the same time, we know Jaden Bradley is going to do the same thing for Arizona. So the matchup I'm interested in, assuming they go against each other a lot in this game, at the 4-5 spot, Cole Pete versus Tyler Bilodeau, 6'8" versus 6'9", two high-level players. Obviously, Bilodeau's the vet. Pete is the freshman. So that's kind of one matchup that I'm looking forward to seeing here. What do you think?
Yeah, this is an old school Pac-12, Pac-10 matchup that we have here, Arizona and UCLA. It's coming in. UCLA has a big three, has three guys with Donovan Dent, Bilodeau, and Eric Daly. That they have within the offense. I think it's going to be a very interesting matchup. Both Daly and Bilodeau versus Koa Pete and Ivan Karchkanov. I think for Arizona, that foursome, that little duo of kind of combo forwards is going to be very interesting. But then you look at what UCLA brings with Xavier Booker, and then the two-headed monster that Arizona has with Awaka and Krivas. I think that gives the advantage there, just looking at it on paper, to the Arizona team. You have Jaden Bradley at the point guard against Donovan Dent. I think this is a very interesting matchup moving forward. I really do like this Arizona team, though. I really do like what this Arizona team has, adding in Del Orso and adding in these other pieces that they have on the team. I think this could be a good game. Obviously, UCLA is going to want to slow it down. They're going to want to be able to find the advantages within their offense to get the shots up and work for the best shot possible. Whereas this Arizona team is going to want to get up and down and run and put the ball in their hands. They have multiple guys, Arizona, that can have ball in hand and create advantages. So it's going to be very interesting to sit there and see who's able to dictate the pace of this game. I think UCLA does have enough, but this Arizona team is pretty loaded when it comes to talent level and what they have be able at their disposal to put on the floor.
Yeah, this game is being played in Los Angeles in Intuit, the Intuit Dome where the Clippers play. So kind of a neutral site, I guess, per se, but UCLA home game, obviously. I will say UCLA has not played a top 200 team in KenPom this year and honestly has not blown anybody out. They haven't won a game by 20-plus this season. It was kind of close against Pepperdine, kind of close against Eastern Washington. So this would be their first real
pace
test.
Of play will do that. That'll make you have to be very efficient with the shots that you take when you play slower.
Yeah. I'm going to take Arizona in this game. I think they have enough talent to get this done kind of on the road, I guess, if you want to call it that. But I'm going to take Arizona here. Do you have a pick?
Yeah, I think Arizona the same.
Yeah. UConn BYU, really, really fascinating game. We've already seen BYU earlier this year, and we've talked about them. Obviously, it was against Villanova. This is a very, very different Big East team that they're going against here. This game is also neutral site. Let me see. It's at TD Garden in Boston. So I guess technically a UConn home game. What are your thoughts? What do you think, UConn or BYU?
Well, it's also a homecoming game for AJ Adbansta, who's from that.
Very true.
That Massachusetts area as well. So it'll be a very, Kennard Davis, his availability will be interesting to see what they're able to do with BYU. Is it Baker that gets those minutes, or do they go with the big man backup that to kind of fill those minutes with him? This is all eyes going to be on AJ Advanced here. Now, obviously, you still have Richie Saunders, you still have Rob Wright, you still have Kebakeda. All four of those guys, very, very good players. But all eyes are going to be with the homecoming of AJ Advanced and the physicality that we know that UConn's going to bring him on the defensive end of the floor. Having a guy like a Silas Demery, on the defensive end, then Malachi Smith and Solo Ball and Alex Caravan, Terrace Reed, they're going to be able to throw different looks at him. AJ being 6'9", possibly pushing 6'10", twitchy athlete, long arms, able to create in his own space. It'll be a very interesting matchup. Who wins at the point of attack is going to be interesting. Obviously, you having the Malachi Smith Silas Demery duo at UConn, and then also Rob Wright at BYU. What type of sets, what type of looks is Kevin Young going to be able to draw up to be able to get them? I think these are two of the best coaches actually when it comes to scheming and stuff in college basketball, with Danny Hurley and Kevin Young both together. Yeah. Can they get Richie Saunders going? I think it's going to be a big factor. While AJ DeBance is going to have a lot of eyes on him, will Richie Saunders be able to take his matchups and create advantages consistently on the offensive end of the floor? Kebakeda and Terrace Reed is going to be an absolute, heavyweight bout on the blocks. It's going to be a bloodbath down there. It's going to be awesome to watch the physicality they both bring. I'm sure they're going to bring one another as well. But can BYU get Richie Saunders going? This UConn team is deep. They're playing closer to home and all that stuff. I think this game could be relatively close, but I like UConn ultimately, in this top 10 matchup.
Yeah, UConn offensively has just been elite through 3 games. Now, they haven't played elite competition, but they have been very, very good so far. I do think, again, my only data point in my head is watching BYU Villanova, where I liked BYU, but like you said, they need Richie Saunders to get going. Really, really need a Richie Saunders game. So I'll take UConn as well. Then third game, Houston versus Auburn. Another game where it's not a true home game or road game, but it's in Birmingham, Alabama, so favors Auburn there. I'm not going to lie. I've been disappointed with Auburn so far this year. I know they're 3-0, and I know the Bethune-Cookman game is one-off. Cool. But looking at it, Tahad Pettiford has really, really underperformed so far this season. Just really inefficient, has not gotten to any of his spots, has 7 free throw attempts for the entire year. He's 4 of 23 from 3 for the season. And without him, like if that's, he's going to have to turn it around. If he doesn't turn it around in this game, I don't see how they have enough scoring to really hang with Houston in this game, where a Houston team that obviously is number 1 in KenPom early in the season defensively. But I think these freshmen have I don't want to say they've surpassed my expectations yet, but they've been really, really good. And when you have them along with Sharp and Tugler and all these guys, I just think Houston's really good right now, and I think they're further along than Auburn. So I got Houston.
Yeah, you look at this Auburn team, and while Tahad Pettiford, he's left some stuff on the table, Keyshawn Hall's been very good for them.
Yeah.
At least putting up stats and being able to consistently find production on the floor. But in looking at this Houston team, I think everybody kind of knew and expected what Milos Uzan and Emmanuel Sharp was bringing. The emergence of Kingston Fleming so early, it might have taken some people by surprise. The Houston staff all throughout the preseason was talking about Kingston was going to be one of their top 3 or so players on the team, on the roster. It's just he was playing alongside of those other 2 guys, those other 2 seniors who have had so much success, obviously playing in the finals this past year and all that throughout their collegiate careers. But then you also have possibly the best forward defensive player in JoJo Tugler in the country, as well as one of the better, especially freshman rebounders in Chris Senack, who's able just to see ball, get ball. You have JoJo Tugler, who's able to slide up and down a lineup and guard multiple spots. The switchability of both him and Senack is very intriguing with what they're able to do defensively. How do they consistently find offense in the post? I think will still be a question. Can those 2 guys be threats consistently finding offense? But what this backcourt brings is so unique. 3 guys who can have the ball in their hand at the point of attack and create offense for themselves and others. 3 guys who are two-way players that can guard at the point of attack as well as aggressively getting up the line defensively while sliding their feet and switching. And 3 guys who can make shots, who can space the floor and make a jump shot. It's unique in what they're able to bring. What does the Houston depth look like? Can they bring enough depth and all that throughout the course of the year? I think this game, I don't know that this game will be particularly close for Houston. I think Houston's going to win it. I don't know if it'll be particularly close, but those are some things that this Houston team brings, both intriguingly, but also seeing how they move forward, building the depth behind that front 5 that they have, that is so good and fits so well. Man, the defensive ability, they have 5 guys on the floor that are defensive minded guys, 5 guys on the, guys on the floor that pay attention to rebounding. That's that just right up. I know Kelvin Sampson just loves that every time he looks down his lineup and sees that he's got that on his roster. But also the ability of the 3 guards to be able to consistently create offense is going to make them interesting throughout the course, of the season. So I think in this game, Houston's going to win it, moving forward.
Yeah. Flemings has 47 points this year, and he's missed 3 shots. He's doing pretty well. All right, there we go. There are the games to know this weekend. There's a couple more decent ones, but there's no. I don't think there's any more ranked games for sure. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on all those. Thank you all for joining us. Leave a like, comment, share, subscribe if you have not already. We'll be back next week to talk some more basketball, and we'll talk to y'all then.
All right, guys.